What's going on YouTube? I am making a quick video to give you an update on the Dodge Viper, my dream car, as some of you know. And unfortunately, it's a sad ending for the Viper. My worst nightmare came through. The built motor by the absolute garbage performance shop that shall remain nameless for now, as I look at what options I have, if any. So I'm not going to say a whole lot about that. What I will share is that I paid a ridiculous amount of money to have that motor built to last me a very long time, and 3,500 miles roughly later, give or take a couple hundred, the motor is completely gone. And as you guys know in some of the videos, I am, always meticulous with the care and maintenance of the vehicle. I'm always changing the oil as quickly and as soon as I can. The first oil change was done after the motor built right around 500 miles. I check the oil every time before I leave, and unfortunately in this case the rod bearings completely failed. And from what I'm being told by other mechanics is that was due to the reassembly of the engine. Either they torqued it incorrectly or the clearances were just wrong altogether, right? And so it ate through the bearings. I'll post a picture here so you guys can see it in the video. Completely ate the bearings of all the caps that we pulled, and the motor failed at 3,500 miles. And that's something that in most cars, that if you properly reassemble the engine or assemble it from factory, that should last you 100,000 plus miles easily. Like, that's one of the very few things that will go wrong or break with your car. So unfortunately, I cannot throw any more money at this car. As much as I loved it, my dream car since I was a kid, the car that I wanted, I can't do it. It's too painful. The wound from the last build to build the motor was still pretty open, and I was trying to recover. And I have to say goodbye. So I have sold the Viper. I'm actually driving right now, and I'll show you some footage of that. I'm driving to deliver it. It's at the shop. It's at Allpar Garage here in Lilburn, Georgia. They specialize in Mopars, and we had them take a look. And so I'm meeting the new owner, Mike, over there to exchange the title, the key, everything else. I have a spare key, the other one's at the shop. And sadly, we'll say goodbye. This is a tough one because, like I said, this is the car I've dreamt of my whole life. I've always leaned towards that Mopar V10 beast, right? And wanted one since the day they came out. I was a teenager when the first one came out, the Gen 1, and just fell in love with the car. It was so different and unique and completely the opposite of what every other car was and is. And to this day, I still think it's, there's nothing like it. Of all the cars that I have personally owned, there's just nothing like a Viper. Absolutely raw. I hope in the future I'll own one again. And, right now I just can't think of that. I'm going to focus on the C8, which is arriving in about a week and a half. But it makes me really sad. So I just wanted to share that, and I'll give you some advice, that I should have given myself. Hindsight is always 20/20. But if you're ever having any work done by any shop, there's the do your diligent work, right? Where your diligence, and ask people, ask the community. Obviously, don't go based on Google reviews, because that's what I did on multiple sites, and it seemed like this shop had a good reputation. Little did I know, a lot of things were happening underneath. And unfortunately, I was pretty new to the Viper community, so I didn't know a ton of people in the Viper. 3 years later, now I know a lot more about the car, about the community, and have made some really great connections in the Viper world. Too late, unfortunately, because I wish I knew them at the very beginning. I probably would have taken a stab at excuse me, rebuilding the motor myself, right? I mean, it couldn't have been any worse than these guys at 3,000 miles to have a catastrophic engine failure again on $30 parts. If you guys follow Sneaky Snakes, who I love his content. He's one of the very few channels that I aspire to be like with Viper content, because there just isn't a whole lot of Viper content out there. and he had a very similar failure, I believe, from $30 parts completely destroying his engine, right? And you know, that's just one of those things where you have to be extra careful. You have to make sure that those tolerances are correct, or you have something like this. And it's just such a devastating thing to have $30 rod bearings destroy a, you know, $15, $20, $30,000 motor in some cases. It's just crazy. So anyways, back to my pro tips for you guys. You know, do your research, talk to the community, talk to them again, talk to Viper owners. And even then, I think one of the important things is whatever work you have done, put it in writing. And what I mean by that is write down some milestones, not only of what you want to achieve with the vehicle, with the build, but also with whoever you're having do the work. If you're fortunate to do it yourself, that's awesome. You don't have to worry about this. However, not everybody has that luxury. It's not easy to swap a motor out and rebuild it in your garage. There were a lot of limitations for me, like HOA, although we've moved from that place now. I just didn't have the time and tools. I traveled quite a bit for work prior to Corona. And so I just didn't have that luxury and didn't want the car to be down. So I thought I'd pay an expert so that I could have the car back in time for the summer season, and we can do some, you know, car shows and some cruises and anything else, you know, when it comes to the car community. And so that's why I went that route. Looking back now, of course, I wish I would have just taken a stab at it with my buddy who offered to help and built the motor myself. I don't think I'd be making this video this soon anyways. And so write down those milestones. What do you want to achieve? What's the time frame? And if you're paying somebody to do it, put it in writing, share those timelines, share those milestones and goals of what you want to achieve, and set a time, right? For me, originally, the vehicle was only supposed to be there 4 to 6 weeks at the most, and then it became excuse after excuse. That should have been a red flag for me. I should have pulled the car immediately when he didn't deliver after the 6 weeks, and I should have just said, you know, give me my car, I'll pay you for whatever you've done now and breaking down the motor or whatever, and just pulled it out, because I got so many excuses, from the motor to needing a new motor to the machine shop to the pistons, all sorts of lies. And then of course later I found out there was a lot of financial trouble and other things, from what I was told, allegedly. I don't have proof of any of this, but seeing as how, you know, the owner has moved on to another shop and sold the shop, it doesn't surprise me at all, right? And I've heard similar stories allegedly from other Viper owners. Again, I didn't have those connections earlier. I didn't know the Viper community as well as I do now. So put it in writing, guys. Put it in writing. Put those milestones. What's acceptable to you? What's acceptable for somebody working on your vehicle, time frame wise? And if they don't deliver, put a penalty clause in there, either a discount on parts or labor or something that, you know, will punish them for not delivering in those times. And draft up some sort of liability clause as well, the warranty, right? It's really important that you get a warranty, not in verbal. I got, you know, some sort of warranty, but of course it was only a year time frame. But again, you know, you shouldn't have a motor fail in 3,500 miles, and it failed because of incorrectly being put back together. So I think, warranty or not, that's just unacceptable. And so just be careful in what you guys do. Hold on to your money really tight. I've wasted way too much money that I'm too embarrassed to share with you guys, but it was a lot. It was a ton of money. I could have bought another Gen 2 Viper or Gen 1 Viper in what we've spent in this car thus far. So be careful, guys. Thank you for watching. If you're not a subscriber yet, stay tuned for all the C8 content that we have coming up. You know, comment below, see what you think, let me know. I will share some footage as we go, say goodbye to the Viper one more time. So here's some of that footage. Thanks for watching, everybody. Here she is, man, going to its new owner. I will miss this bad boy for sure. Well, there she is, waiting for the tow truck to come pick her up one last time, guys. Goodbye, Viper. We'll miss you. Had a lot of fun with you, and I hope Mike, the new owner, will enjoy it.